and it'll be on the 4G, which is another factor into things. But I think if we go there and do what we know we can do, then I think it's another game we'll be looking at going to win.
How does playing on the 4G affect the game?
Some players like it, some don't, and it's just a different circumstance. The ball bounces that little bit different. Your body's affected a little bit different. But we've been training this week on the 4G as well, so we're getting an understanding of it.
Was it mainly 4G up in Iceland?
Yeah, a lot of it's 4G. You get the odd grass pitch, but it's not green. It's dried out yellow stuff. But no, it's. I think it has to be 4G over there with the weather and the climate and stuff.
It's good insight that from Luke Williams talking to Leo Jocelyn. BBC Radio Humberside. By the way, you can interact with us if you are a Scunthorpe United fan. Frankly, whoever you support, you can let us know your thoughts on your team by contacting us on social media using our @Humberside Sport X page. Also, you can text as well 81333 and WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Start your text, start your WhatsApps with the letters RH. We've got Scunthorpe United commentary. They are at the National League North's bottom team, Rushall Olympic. Commentary on the way next.
Winter has arrived.
Little bit of wintry sunshine out and about.
Bringing icy roads.
Could even have a few patches of frost.
And stormy nights.
Amber warning from the Met Office.
Perhaps bringing some localised flooding.
As the winter weather takes hold, we're here when you need us.
BBC Radio Humberside.
Torrential rain.
3 flood warnings.
It is looking cold.
Some stormy weather this weekend.
Possibility of snow.
Amber warning for snow and ice.
There could be some accumulations of snow, up to 10 inches of snow.
BBC Radio Humberside.
BBC Radio Humberside Sport.
Good afternoon, BBC Radio Humberside. We are 3 minutes from kick-off. And let's get some final thoughts at Dales Lane this afternoon. Scunthorpe United at Rushall, where your commentary will come from Ben Fitzpatrick.
Yes, and there's 2 changes to the side, but one on New Year's Eve. Ross Barrows and Tyler Denton make way with Michael Kelly and Luke Williams in the starting lineup. The atmosphere is building. The players are moments away from joining us here live from Dales Lane.
Getting you closer to your club. BBC Radio Humberside Sport.
Half-time, we'll hear about one of the stories that we brought you yesterday on the programme. We heard the very sad news that Hull City legend Dean Windus has been diagnosed with stage 2 dementia. We'll talk more about that at half-time. But right now, your big match commentary this afternoon is in the West Midlands. Scunthorpe United, can they keep this unbeaten run going and extend it to 8 games? They're at Rushall Olympic alongside Ben Fitzpatrick. Commentary this afternoon from former Iron striker Steve Torpey.
Well, it's a late start to 2025 for Scunthorpe United following from their postponement against Brackley Town. But finally, game number 1 of the calendar year of 2025 is here. And for the Scunthorpe United faithful, they will be hoping that it is a continuation of what 2024 left off with. Myself, Ben Fitzpatrick, alongside Steve Torpey. Tops, a very good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, Ben. Yeah, really looking forward to this game. Scunny can build on 10 days ago or 11 days ago with probably the performance of the season so far. Then that'll be something that can really be good for the rest of the game.
Yeah, so we'll give you the full team news now as well if you have missed it. The headlines being, of course, with Ross Barrows having injured his ACL in that game on New Year's Eve. He is out of the side. Tyler Denton is out as well. So it's Luke Williams and Michael Kelly that are in to replace them. So for the full starting lineup is as follows for Scunthorpe United. It's Fitzsimons in goal, a back four of Kelly, Coogan, Boyce and Kian Scales in as a makeshift right back. Clunan and Rowley in as the central midfield 2 with Luke Williams in and that number 10 rub. And 3, Carlton Ubazonu, Callum Roberts and Danny Whitehall. And it's going to be Scunthorpe United that are going to start us off here in this opening half, kicking from right to left as we are perched up in the media tower here in Dales Lane, with Rushall Olympic kicking from left to right. The referee blows a whistle and we are underway here from Dowles Lane. A bright but chilly day in the Midlands as the first long ball from Fitzsimons coming over to this near side touchline goes out for a throw. We'll bring you the lineup as well for the hosts Rushall this afternoon. It's going to be White in goal, Keziah Martin, Hull, Cameron and Green as the back four, Thomas and Ford as the midfield two, with Sam McClintock in at the 10, and then King, Riley and Liam McAllendon in as the front three. The throw-in down the line, headed on by Whitehall. Ubazonu couldn't quite get the body position of Clunham. Both players trying to feel and out this opening game. Of course, Rushall Olympic will be the slightly fresher team in terms of match experience this year, having already played back on January the 4th, the 3-1 victory away against Farsley Celtic. Technically that game being an away game for both teams, with the current situation at Farsley in their home ground. And as it goes out for a throw-in over on the far side, Scales, who will take it, who's dropped into that right back position for this afternoon. Typically plays in towards the centre of midfield and out on towards that right-hand side. But I think this is certainly my first time thoughts of seeing him this far deep in a natural right back. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think he's slotted in there a couple of occasions this season, mainly when they've changed formation or someone's come off injured. He's gone down to that right back spot, so it's not alien to him and something that he should be quite comfortable with.
As Ubazonu tries to make a darting run on this near side, but went quite handily early there for the offside to be raised. Over on that far side of the ground, as the management staff on both sides look on in the early exchanges, Andy Butler and Richard Snakes, the 56-year-old Dutch-born manager, was appointed initially as just a temporary appointment following the dismissal of Adam Stevens before the end of 2024, but his appointment has since been made permanent and has been able to get some important wins under his belt as well. We mentioned that win away against Farsley Celtic, but also a 1-0 victory against Kidderminster Harriers as well before the turn of this new year, as Rushall Olympic have possession at the moment, trying to go forwards as they do with that ball from Coogan. It gives an opportunity here for Riley, but an important block there from Maxim Coogan. It's going to draw the first corner of the afternoon for the hosts.
Yeah, a bit of a blind ball from Coonan there. He didn't know what was going on behind him, played it back and straight into Ruston striker, and deflected shot. They're just going to have for a corner. A little bit fortunate something there.
So going ahead, long ball forward, and it goes just straight into the hands of the oncoming Fitzsimons, who will look to try and launch this counter-attack. Roberts the furthest forward, gets the first touch on his left foot, but couldn't bring it any further forward in bounds, and so it'll go out for a throw-in, which Green will stand over. Josh Green, the Welsh fullback, signed actually from around these parts originally, Walsall Wood. His 15th appearance of the season in the league play. Well, for the ball will go once again. This is Green just on the halfway line, then played just slightly back to him. Forwards down the line when it's headed down, and then long ball forward from Kelly. At the moment, just playing fullback to fullback at the moment as things stand.
Yeah, it's quite a direct, bit scruffy start to the game. No one really taking a grip of it. Just finding their feet, I suppose. Scunthorpe, not used to playing on this surface. Just trying to get it down and keep possession for a few passes.
Nice little back heel there from Whitehall, and it gives an opportunity for Luke Williams to see his first real opportunities on the ball. Big switch out towards that right-hand side, which Roberts now finds himself in. Cuts inside onto his left foot. Williams, a bit of a heavy touch there, inviting Ford into possession. And then Kelly will have a little bit of a chase on with King down this near right-hand side. The referee ignoring the appeals from the Rushall Olympic players that Kelly was holding on to King a little bit too much there.
Yeah, I don't think he was going to get there. I don't think there's much in there. He's not the ball, but it's gone about 30 yards, and he was never going to get it. It was quite comfortable for Boyce just to cover there. So no dramas. I think he was going for something that was never going to get.
It's one of the showings of experience defensively, isn't it? Being able to show and use your body as a defender and make sure that you're not giving the referee an opportunity to blow that whistle with a foul. Dueling headers is going to go the way of Rushall Olympic here, as we are 5.5 minutes into this contest at Dow's Lane. Still goalless between Scunthorpe United and Rushall Olympic. Here is Thomas. Backwards and across it will go in towards the heart of defensive midfield. This is Cameron that's standing on the ball now. Keziah Martin, who's filling in at left back, did so as well on January 4th. Not his traditional role, but has clearly accomplished it very well, and Clunan hasn't accomplished that very well, trying to cushion the ball forward towards Danny Whitehall. It's just flown a little bit too far, and there perhaps is that surface that's playing into play.
Yeah, it's lively. It's a little bit firm because of the frost, and there's a little bit of bite in the air. But yeah, no one's really got a grip of the game as of yet. McAlinden looks like he's playing that central role down the middle, like you say, and it'd be interesting to see. I know he had a couple of occasions in that position when he played for Scunthorpe, but.
Oh, good throw ball here. Just had to turn back on himself here. Dear McAlinden, who fires a shot wide of Fitzsimons' left-hand post. And we heard about, in fact, it was James talking to you earlier on in the build-up talks about how there's the question of maybe whether McAlinden has a little bit of something to prove given his finish to his time with Scunthorpe United, and he almost made Andy Butler and the Scunthorpe faithful remind him just of that.
Yeah, so we know what his left foot's like. It's very good left foot, got a nice little bit of quality and technically very good. And as he's just shot there with his left foot, just floating and curling away from the far post, but he's trying to pick up space in between the centre backs and the midfield. I don't think he's going to compete as a number 9, but what he would do if he gets it on the ground onto his feet, he has got to have a bit of quality.
7 minutes gone here at Dow's Lane. Rushall Olympic 0, Scunthorpe United 0. Reminder, of course, at the conclusion of the action here, you can get in contact with James, who will be taking you through the post-match in 08000 66 5959, or text 81333. And remember to start your text message with the letters RH. This is Coogan in possession of the ball, just about 10 yards inside his own defensive half, slowly trying to push forward. This is Scales, but he's going to be forced backwards once again. Now Scunthorpe looking to potentially settle into their traditional routines and patterns of playing and building along from the back. This is Kelly, now back to Boyce, halfway inside the defensive half for the Iron. Across the ground, over towards the right-hand side for Coogan. Now here is Scales, looking to try and feel himself a little bit more comfortable in at that right-back position. Boyce, Coogan once again. Williams had just dropped deep into the defensive half there to offer for a potential out ball, but instead Coogan's going to try and take it himself. Here is Whitehall, now to Kelly, just on the left-hand side of the centre circle of Azurnu. Does well with his first touch, and then his shot looked, he will be hoping for more than a cross, and that Callum Roberts should have been trying to go long down that right-hand touchline, but I think might have been a little bit fairer to say that was a shot attempt there.
That was a shot, and it's gone out for a throw-in. So that sums it up. That says it all, really. Just as his eyes lit up, you could see bounce nicely, but just come off the side of his right foot and went, massively wide.
And he's a player who would be crying out for a goal as well, won't he, Carlton of his honour? It certainly hasn't been plain sailing, I think it's fair to say, for him since joining the Iron from Chorley last season, but now starting to get a few more routine starts. Does have an assist to his name as well. it'll just be getting that goal, won't it, Torp? So imagine for yourself as an attacking-minded player at the start of any campaign, let alone at the start of a time side, getting that first goal is so important for your confidence.
It is, and if you're not scoring, then what are you going to contribute to the team? And last week he was arguably man of the match. I think he got one of the supporters awards, and rightly so. His work ethic, and it's just starting to drift down this left-hand side, which can play off Danny Whitehall and come inside and show some real. Let's say it was his best performance since he's been here in my eyes that I've seen. So something to build on, and like I say, all he needs now is that goal to hopefully set him off.
Here is Maxim Kogan going onto that far right-hand side of the ground. Roberts, who's dropped deeper, but still parallel on that right-hand side touchline, trying to find Ubazonu right there, and then the ball out, just studs against Whitehall. Ubazonu takes his time. Whitehall doesn't, though. It was a scrappy, scuffed goal, but it's still the first of the calendar year of 2025, and it feels like who else would that fall to right now? Danny Whitehall, another goal to his name, and Scunthorpe United, not necessarily the most convincingly in their attacking play in that penalty area, but importantly, they are in the lead.
Yeah, I don't know what the fullback was doing. He thought he had all the time in the world. He brought it down. It was a great touch, and I thought he was just going to clear his lines and smash it. Anyway, he dilled and dallied. He got intercepted by Ubazunu, who, again, he dilled and dallied. Couldn't sort his feet out. He tried to hit it with the outside of his left foot, I think. Ricocheted, fell to Whitehall, and there's a simple tapping from about 3 or 4 yards. But just what Scunthorpe needed, and it's a great start. And Whitehall continue his great goal scoring.
11 minutes have played, and Scunthorpe United away from home have their start and have their lead. And it's a come from the feet of Danny Whitehall once again, and Rushall Olympic, similarly to how they did in the reverse fixture, in the fixture earlier on this season. In fact, it was around about the same time, actually, that the Danny Whitehall /own goal happened back at Glanford Park in October. Scunthorpe United have themselves an early lead again against Rushall Olympic, as Kelly, with this throw-in, headed back on from Whitehall and then from Ubazonu, as Whitehall will challenge there with Ford and will win the possession through the throw-in. Williams throws backwards to Kelly. Loose pass there from him to Boyce. Is going to have to make him chase and towards that natural left-back position, and just urges Rushall Olympic to push on and start to try and trigger a press. Now here is Ford, cushioned header down into the centre circle for Thomas, who's got a little bit of running room, driving towards this near right-hand touchline. If you were looking for where Rushall are attacking in this first 45 minutes. But Scunthorpe United deal with it neatly there between Kelly and Clunan. Now Kelly charging down the ball and is going to draw the foul there against Danny King. And a free kick opportunity will just give Scunthorpe an opportunity to just compose themselves a little bit after going a goal ahead. Coming up to 13 minutes gone for BBC Radio Humberside Sport. It is Rushall Olympic 0, Scunthorpe United 1. And Torps, what's been your assumption or been your summation of the opening 13 minutes? Because neither team feels like I've really gotten a foot in the game, per se.
No, I don't think there's not been many chances. Again, the best chance, and that was from a mistake from Green, dwelling on the ball too long and getting intercepted. But there's not been a great deal in it. Obviously, the goals that matter, Scunthorpe would be quite happy in terms of their approach. Most of the play's been around the mid-third of the pitch, where they've been in and out of possession. The light teams, Rushall have dropped a little bit deep. They're playing like a 4-2-3-1 formation. 2 midfield players dropping deep, screening Danny Whitehall and Williamson. So it's just, there's not really a great deal in it. It's not been electric, but the main thing is Scunthorpe 1-0 up.
And importantly, in the grander scheme of the division as well, it will mean that Scunthorpe United are top of the National League. exciting race between themselves, Curzon Ashton and Kidderminster Harriers as we continue through the rest of the season, and Scunthorpe will look to continue here as well. This is Roberts, tries to play a ball square right across to Williams, but it was easy there for Cameron to read. And it'll go out for a Scunthorpe United throw-in. Nathan Cameron, the captain for the Picks this afternoon, the former Hereford centre-back. Over 200 Football League appearances for him across his career, across teams like Coventry and the former Bury FC, now, of course, AFC Bury, since their merger and consequently rebuild. As the ball has been turned over on that far side of the ground, and it will be a throw-in to the hosts, Rushall Olympic, who will be no strangers to positions like this, and especially even in the past 5 games, as here comes Ford now driving down the far left-hand side touchline, looking to try and make something of this move backwards with Keziah Martin. Now Thomas halfway inside the Picks attacking half, but about 5 yards in from the left-hand touchline. Martin tries to weave his way through 2 players there, Williams and Roberts, but both combine. And then here is Williams with his front to goal, playing a ball straight into Fitzsimons, who deals with it well. And Ubazonu keeps the ball in play, but might have been better maybe seeing it out, as here now is Green looking to make amends for his mistake earlier on in this first 45 minutes. Thomas gets turned, and then Williams and Whitehall combine. Here is Roberts driving forwards, and they've set Scunthorpe away on a quick counter-attack here. Once again, this is Scouts looking for the shot, and it just flashes past the front of Paul White's goal. He looks concerned, but not too urged. And past the quarter of an hour mark, another good chance for Scunthorpe United to double their lead.
Yeah, got a bit of play from Williamson, where he's linked the play up, held the ball up, knocked the ball out to Roberts. And a great overlap from King Scales. I don't know if it was a shot or a cross, probably a shot cross. And Danny Whitehall was inches from getting on the end of that, but a great little bit of play down the right-hand side.
Yeah, it was one of those balls where it's either inches away from nestling into the bottom corner or inches closer to just asking for one of those front men to get at least a toe on the ball to divert it goalwards. But still, positive signs for Scunthorpe United, who are playing in a rarity of a surface, of course, the artificial pitch, but many will have looked at a game like this and seen, obviously, the way that Rushall Olympic have been playing as of recently, as Williams is caught offside. And then combined with this surface as well, and thinking, how long is it going to take for the players to get used to it? Obviously, they'll be training on artificial surfaces like this in the build-up to it, but until you're really at that match pace, you're never really certain as to how your players are going to react and how long it's going to take as well.
Yeah, I think it's the speed and the acceleration and deceleration when you're running. We see it from Ubazunu. He's down this right hand side and he's run, and then all of a sudden he's had to put the brakes on and the ball bounces and he's zipping off the surface. So all those combination of things, it does make it difficult to play, and especially if you've not had that experience and you're not used to that surface. But Scunthorpe seem to be doing just as well as Rushall, and like we say, 1-0 up. And if you get this second goal, then I can't really see Rushall getting back, even though it's these early stages. See a little bit of nervousness within their play, Rushall, especially in the back line.
Well, you can understand why, with them being at the bottom of the National League North at the moment, and quite some way from safety as well. There's Fitzsimons' long ball forward, but it's just too short of Kelly. Scunthorpe will be happy with the result, however. Danny King heading the ball over this near side touchline for a Scunthorpe throw-in. It's just as Williams was a bit of a shorter pass there for Kelly, but manages to guide it back safely to Fitzsimons in goal. Yes, we were just saying about the current state of play and situation that Rushall find themselves in. Just 18 points at the moment for them in the league campaign. As Ubazonu chests down the ball and then across again. Ubazonu there, just not catching that ball sweetly whatsoever. This time we can assure viewers and listeners that it certainly was intended to be a cross there, but the way that it's come off his ball almost looked like it was more aiming for the top right-hand corner.
Yeah, and I think with Umzunu's kind of the way he plays, he's quick, he's energetic, and these surfaces sometimes don't bring out the best of them, shall we say. But you can't excuse that. That was a good first touch, brought it down, he just tried to curl in with his left foot and completely shanked it over the goal and wide. So his work effort, just that little bit of technique that he's got to work on.
Coming up to 20 minutes gone here at Dow's Lane for BBC Radio Humberside Sport, and it is Scunthorpe United that lead by 1-0 courtesy of Danny Whitehall, thanks to a mistake inside the 6-yard box from the fullback Josh Green, as Rushall Olympic look to try and drive forwards. Now this is King with a cross in towards the back post. Appeals for a corner. They're not going to get it, Rushall Olympic. It's going to go out for a goal kick. A little bit brighter there, though, in their fluidity in that final third for Rushall Olympic, who out of just their 18 points they have managed to accumulate in the league campaign so far this season. 9 of those have come here at home, and the other 9 have come away. So a direct half-and-half split. No better home nor away. But as we said in the build-up with James earlier on from 2 o'clock, that this is a team that is still certainly trying to rebuild under new management, and maybe rebuilding for a life down out of the National League North. There's still plenty of football left to play, and there's still plenty of time left in this game here for something to happen for them. Here is Martin, long ball forward down that left-hand touchline, flicked header back in behind, hoping for McAllendon, but it's guided to Fitzsimons. A flatter clearance out there, which was taken by Ford first. Now things just getting a little bit sloppier there, and then a hip and shoulder challenge from Scales into Riley there. Sees the referee blow the whistle, and it looks like he's going to his top pocket as well. It's going to be a card for Kieran Scales on the hip and shoulder challenge against Kian Riley, funnily enough. So a booking for Scales on the 21st minute, and one that Andy Butler will certainly be wanting to keep an eye on for his makeshift right back.
Yeah, I thought he was a bit harsh. I don't think that's his first foul. I think I can remember, and it wasn't enough. It was like a shoulder barge, slightly late. To get a booking for that is a little bit harsh in my eyes.
Yeah, I suppose the adjudication that the referee will be looking to make there is that whether Scales was making genuine attempts to play the ball or whether he was trying to play the man a little bit further. Either way, the free kick delivered by Martin straight into the hands of the oncoming Ross Fitzsimons, who wants to send the ball long for a counter-attack immediately, but it's just a hair far away from Roberts, who is the furthest iron player forwards. Here now is Riley once again, the man who won that free kick from just a moment ago. Ford switching ball right across the halfway line to Green. Now further on towards this near right-hand side of the ground, by the technical area that Richard Snakes and his backroom staff, Steve Hinks, and would-be player coach as well, Sam Mantum, patrolling. Throw in for the hosts. Green to Thomas, who is being guided backwards here by Williams, and will go all the way backwards to Paul White in the Rushall Olympic goal. Forwards will attempt, but Boyce's header can only find this near side touchline with bounce. And it goes out for another Rushall throw-in. Green longer down the ground this time. And Rushall starting to chain these stoppages together, but need to chain them into chances on goal.
Yeah, as I say, still scruffy. There's not really been many attempts on goal. There's been a couple of crosses that have kind of eluded both defenders and forward line. That was probably their best chance from Rushall. Just bent it in, but he was kind of caught in between Fitzsimons and then the two centre-halves, Scunthorpe centre-halves, and it went to safety. But they've not really created anything. I think Scunthorpe just need to get down a little bit more. It is a difficult surface. You can tell even the Rushall players are slipping and a bit tentative when that ball's bouncing and passing into them. So they do need to take care. Don't need to rush it. They're in the ascendancy now. They've got the goal that they needed to settle things down. And can they build on that?
As Fitzsimons has the ball at his feet, and now here is Coogan. A bit of a heavier touch from him as Michael Clunan inside the centre circle is just trying to help guide his players around him. A slip there from the Rushall captain Cameron just by the edge of the centre circle. Gave Scunthorpe a half opportunity to try and drive forwards, but instead looked to give it back towards Boyce and Kelly. Here is Coogan once again. Now Scales, Coogan, about 5 yards off of the edge of the centre circle, is going to look for that big sweeping switch over towards this near side of the ground. Ubazonu got a good first touch on it, but Green gets the better body shape and position, and they're still challenging for the ball between one another. Ubazonu, the ball has gone out, according to the official in the middle, despite the protests there from Thomas, and it will go out for a throw to Rushall Olympic themselves. So coming up to 25 minutes played live on BBC Radio Humberside Sport. It is still Scunthorpe United that lead by a goal to nil against Rushall Olympic in what is their first game of the calendar year 2025. As here is Hull in the deep right back position. Long ball that will go forwards. McAlinden go backwards, flow through to Coogan, and out Fitzsimons and Andy Butler just shouting out there and encouraging his players to try and get a little bit wider, make the pitch look a little bit more expansive. As Coogan, 10 yards deeper inside his defensive territory at the moment. Kelly inside the centre circle on that. Instead, they're going to try and go down the line. The touch from Cameron might just help Williams here. Does manage to put a cross into the penalty area. Whitehall smartly books the ball backwards to Michael Kelly, who was about 25 yards out from goal when he initially took possession, but then dribbled and passed all the way back towards the poor ball from Boyce there to try and look for Ubazonu. Now he is Thomas, and then the former Chorley winger does well tracking back to halt the move for the Picks, and it will go out for a throw-in right in front of the home technical area.
Yeah, the pitch is quite firm. You can see the ball is spinning and it's not rolling as it would do on grass. So these passes need to be really accurate, really into feet. Anything straight balls, they're just going to run off or into the goalkeeper's hands. But so that's what they're doing really well at the moment, Scunthorpe. They are putting balls in and they are diagonal balls. So that does give the players more of an opportunity rather than a straight ball that runs straight into the goalkeeper.
Danny King there does well through some traffic. Now Williams forwards for Scunthorpe United, and they will look to try and break here now as well. Pushing forwards, here is Roberts into the penalty area, pulls the ball back. Scales tries the first time shot with his left foot, wasn't a bad opportunity, but sees the block. Clunan then shooting and then sliding in as Rushall will look to try and drive the other way. This is Riley now out far on that left-hand side, tight with the touch line. Now being marshalled by Scales and Roberts once again. Riley just dribbling himself into a little bit of trouble there towards the byline. And then Scales eventually will see the ball into touch over on that far side of the ground. Coming up to half an hour gone, Scunthorpe still leading by a goal to nil. But Rushall Olympic have the ball in hand in their final third with the throw-in, and will now have the ball down on the corner quadrant as the throw-in came off of the thigh of Callum Roberts, and it'll be another corner opportunity for Rushall. The first one didn't really threaten. What will this second one do here now? It's going to be a right-footed delivery from the far side of the ground in towards the 6-yard box. The dueling sixes both looked to try and get heads onto it, but it was the Rushall number 6 of Nathan Cameron that got the final touch, and it'll go out for a goal kick to Scunthorpe United.
Yeah, Andrew Boyce just done enough there. Good marking. Is Green? Sorry, was the number 6. Sorry, Cameron, the captain, and went up and just a little nudge from Boyce and just put him off. He just flicked off the top of his forehead and went out for a goal kick. They seem to be handling it relatively well, Scunthorpe. Again, without setting the world alight, it's not the perfect performance, but it's a good, solid performance so far.
And importantly, at this stage, it will be going into the half-time break with a lead as well, as here's the flicked on header from King. Now forwards here for McClintock to try and get away from his marker. Back heel trying to find Green, but Ubazonu was there once again. It's going to be another corner, though. This time it's going to be delivered from this near side of the ground to where we are in this elevated media position here at Dow's Lane. And it looks like it might be a change of foot to deliver this corner in as well. The left foot going to continue in with the in-swinging attack from these set pieces. Short routine instead, given straight back to the initial taker. Left-footed cross goes in, goes against the back of Williams there, as McCallendon will look to try and challenge, but it is the current Scunthorpe United man that wins for the moment. Then the throw-in given away was taken quickly by McCallendon. King thunders the ball against Scales, who would come all the way across from right back to left back to defend that quick throw-in routine. And now this time, Rushall will look to try and set this one up and go perhaps a little bit longer from the hands of Josh Green as he goes down towards an angled sort of runoff area that there is here at Dow's Lane. Takes the run up the ramp and throws the ball into the penalty area. Hooked away from Clunan, but not completely clean at the moment. Thomas puts the ball back into the penalty area, bounced a couple of times there and made Boyce just think about when he was going to intervene. Here is Green, forward ball on the ground, which confused even his intended target of McClintock there, as well as some of the players in iron shirts defending, thinking that he was going to go for the cross instead of the ball on the ground. And it goes out harmlessly for Scunthorpe's defensive worries for a goal kick. Past the half an hour mark now. And Scunthorpe, despite necessarily, as Torps said, setting the world alight, do have the important lead and the important stats where it matters.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of possession there from Rushall without creating anything. Cut the set pieces, long throwing from Green, but the pitch and like you said, the runoff is not great for someone who's got a long run and can't build up that momentum to zip it into the box. But he's a threat, so you want to try and restrict those set pieces and throw-ins, especially down this right-hand side, and invite those long throws into the box.
Little nudge in the back there from Ford onto Clunan was ignored by the referee, and they're going to drive forwards now here. A Rushall Olympic teasing ball right across towards the penalty spot that no one could get onto it. McCallendon there, actually, that was the closest one, who completely turned himself around and ended up hitting the artificial surface. And it goes out over towards the far side of the ground for a throw-in, which Scunthorpe are going to look to just take a little bit of time with here. Down the line it will go. Whitehall there flicks the header on. Now Rowley, haven't said his name too much so far this afternoon, but as the way that this game has panned out, they've not really been able to play through the thirds and get the ball down. It's been very much, at least for Scunthorpe United, aerial, the switches from right-hand side to this near left-hand side here, trying to utilise Ubazonu. And Rushall Olympic looking to play pretty much exclusively on the counter-attack for the most part. Here is Paul White, the Rushall Olympic goalkeeper, who, with that goal that he conceded in the 11th minute, has now conceded 50 goals for the league campaign. Just the 3 clean sheets to his name so far, as Thomas looks to try and make something happen right on the edge of the penalty area, but the ball finds its way to Fitzsimons. Now Ubazonu does well in a 2-on-1 situation there between Green and King, and it's going to be called on again here as well. Does very nicely. Whitehall just a pace or two off, meeting on with that hooked ball forwards. Boyce with an inventive shoulder to himself there. But the out ball from Kelly is poor. Finds Thomas. Now here is King. Right-footed delivery. Goes in. Cleared away initially from Scales, and then Williams gets it all the way free. Whitehall with a cushion header down. Rowley tries to keep it alive, but Ford was just too close in there. And Rushall retained possession once again. Big switching ball from Keziah Martin. Here is King now with a header down, but to Clunan in space, 5 yards off the edge of his own penalty area. Rowley, Scales, now Clunan only just had to stretch and slide to push that ball to Roberts. Ball over the top and around the corner. Can't find Uberzono. A thumbs up in appreciation. The idea certainly was there, but the execution from that ball just needs to be a little bit better from Callum Roberts.
Yeah, as he's checked back onto his left foot, then Rushall defensive just shuffled up 5 yards. Danny White wasn't come up with them, and then when the ball's been played, there's been a bit of a gap there, and just over it. So a little bit of communication between those two, but you can see their intent and you can see what they've been trying to work on.
As Rushall look to maintain some possession for themselves now, once again, coming to 10 minutes plus the stoppage time, up to half-time as a quick header on there from McAlendon was goalwards, but is into the hands of Fitzsimons safely. Going to release now over towards the Roberts direction on that far right-hand side, but Martin got the better possession, just read the flight of the ball a little bit easier than Roberts did there as he was trying to backpedal. Does go out for a Scunthorpe United throw, though, short to Rowley. Now Scales, Coogan, Whitehall just drops deeper in there, as you'd expect from your number 9 target man. Uberzonu now to Kelly, just a couple of yards into the attacking half for Scunthorpe United, but they will hold the possession and go through their typical patterns of play and routines across the back line. Williams has one arm in the air looking for the quick diagonal switch. Kelly, now here is Williams, going to go to him just short and along the ground. Now driving in towards central midfield, back to Coogan, right on the edge of the centre circle, to Scales, on that far right-hand side of the ground. Back to Coogan, it will go. McAlendon there leading the sort of soft press that Rushall were trying to implement potentially there. Now here is Rowley, twisting and turning, to Clunan. Kelly, Clunan, now Boyce. It's quicker passing, but it's still in the defensive and middle thirds at the moment. Whitehall, arm up for offside there from the captain Cameron, but the assistance flag did stay down. Now they want handball. Rushall Olympic, a couple of decisions that haven't gone the way for the hosts so far in that quick spell there, but they do have possession and are now into their final third. Nice ball, parallel from the edge of the penalty area. This is Riley now. Goes a little bit further back now for Ford. Into mid-air, miscommunication between Ford and Thomas about halfway inside the Rushall Olympic attacking half. And it's going to end up with Scunthorpe driving away with the ball. Advantage has been paid here as well by the referee. This is Roberts driving down the right-hand side into the final third. They all go, penalty area, ball pulled across. Rowley has time to take a touch, but it's poor. Rowley will shoot, but that was too much time for the block there. Now Kelly will drag a shot. Wayward. But positive signs there for Scunthorpe United on the counter-attack. It's just that final little bit of quality that was missing at the end, Torps.
Yeah, great play by Roberts. Just picked out a pass, just pulled it back, round about on the penalty spot. And Rowley, I thought he was on just to it first time. He's decided to take a touch, a little bit of a loose touch. And he got closed down by the Rushall defender. But good play, especially down that right-hand side.
Almost 37 minutes played here live on BBC Radio Humberside. It's still Scunthorpe United that lead by a 1-0 against Rushall. And as things stand in the what is now 4 meetings between the two clubs, there is an aggregate score between these two of 9-0 in favour of Scunthorpe United. They've never conceded against Rushall, both home and away, in all 3 meetings that they've had so far. Make that the 4th, of course, here this afternoon as the sun starts to set around Dow's Lane. We enter that beautiful twilight period of the evening, and Rushall Olympic have taken themselves and won themselves a throw-in right in front of Andy Butler, who is standing resolute as always inside his technical area. Green waiting with the ball in hand. Throw-in goes long down this near right-hand touchline. Williams heading forwards, but it was Thomas for Rushall that got the final touch, and now it's Scunthorpe's opportunity to get themselves a throw-in. Kelly with the ball in hand, and it's now Scunthorpe's turn to try and go long down the line, but doesn't reach Whitehall. It was King that was there as the front man. Another throw-in to come. Kelly, this time shorter to Williams. Kelly to Uberzonu. call from again there from Kelly, and Ubazonu obliges, then tries to go a little bit longer towards the Scunthorpe number 9. And Cameron will see the ball into safety over this near side. Whitehall with a quicker throw in to Ubazonu. First touch a little bit heavy out in front of him, has forced him into the corner. And because of that, there were two amber and black shirts there. And now Scunthorpe might have an opportunity for a counter-attack. Fitzsimons is out of his goal by some way, but instead McAllendon just keeps the ball and looks to try and drive on that this near side. And Maxim Coogan does very, very well there, despite the pushing and pulling that Liam McCallan tries to get himself back into favourable position, but shepherds the ball out for a goal kick. Strong centre-back's work there.
Yeah, just showed his pace and his strength, just got his body in and let the ball run out of play. But good defending on the cover from Boyce. He's just had to shuffle around, stayed with his man, McAlinden. So it was a 50-50 originally, but with his pace from Maxim Coogan, he's kind of just got a head up and then he's got his body in and just seen it out. You know, they're relatively comfortable at the moment. I don't want to put a kiss of death on them, but it looks quite comfortable for Scunthorpe. Rushall dropping off when they're out of possession, and then it's just a matter of trying to find his second goal, which would really, I think, really kill the game.
It's just about trying to sharpen things up in that final third as well. I think that's one of the dangers that you can have when you have a game that is postponed and you play against a team the following week that do have a game on that match week. There's going to be one that's going to be a little sharper in terms of match fitness, match readiness, and the other, in the case here for Scunthorpe United, just take that extra little minute. Here's Williams, though, who tried for a long-range effort but straight against the back of the Rushall defender. And then after a couple of to use, it will just go long down the ground via Josh Green. Go all the way out for a throw-in over on this near side of the ground towards the sort of left-back position for Scunthorpe in this first half. Of course, as always, if you're a Scunthorpe United fan tuning in and would like to have your say and make your voice heard in the response to this first game of 2025 for the Iron, you can do so with James from 5 o'clock this evening, calling 08000 66 5959, or by dropping us a text message 81333, starting your text with the letters RH. Of course, we are on social as well at Humberside Sport on X. Here is Clunan with the ball playing out towards that right-hand side of the ground. Scales, Roberts now halfway inside the attacking half, tries to find a neat ball, but instead actually manages to find Ubazonu, who drives towards the byline. Lofted ball across the penalty area. Whitehall will give chase, slides, keeps the ball in as well, and plays back to Kelly. Left-footed cross in off of a step. Cameron with the header clear, and will go out for a throw-in. Great work and great effort shown there from Danny Whitehall, just to keep the ball alive and keep the chance present for Scunthorpe United forwards.
Yeah, originally I thought Ubazonu was just going to flick it back. It's a great ball down the side and he's inside the box, but he decided to turn and cross over at the ball, and Danny Whitehall done fantastic, especially on this plastic surface. I don't think I would have fancied sliding in on this with a kind of a grass burn, but he's done really well and kept possession.
I'll tell you what, I always feared playing on sort of Astro surfaces myself, only in 5 or 6 a side, but I was typically the goalkeeper, so diving and sliding around, I had a few carpet burns littering my arms and legs the morning after. So yeah, big credit to Danny Whitehall, and of course to cap off the fact he's doing it in short sleeve shirts and shorts. I was doing it in tracksuit bottoms and a long sleeve goalkeeper's top, so big credit to the Scunthorpe number 9 as Kelly plays the ball back to the Scunthorpe goalkeeper. Speaking of keepers, it's been a season to remember for Ross Fitzsimons so far. 16 clean sheets with just 15 goals conceded in the leagues. Not very often as a goalkeeper that you'll have more clean sheets than goals conceded across the league campaign. As a long ball forward, we'll try and invite Callum Roberts to drive forwards and latch onto it, but good 5 yards or so in front of it was Keziah Martin. So cushion header back to Paul White. We're in the 43rd minute now, still 1-0 to Scunthorpe United against Rushall Olympic. As the referee has seen something in there, it's a free kick to Scunthorpe United. There'll be an opportunity for the Iron just to steal themselves till the half-time break and for Andy Butler to potentially compose his thoughts, digest what he's seen in this first 45, and how those messages are going to relay themselves across to his team into the second half. Fitzsimons at the moment with a ball just outside his penalty area. Ubazonu had tried to make a darting run, but has to move back in towards this near side touchline, and collided with the barrier on this near side. It was a soft collision though, so he is okay and moving fine, but just showing a little bit of frustration to his goalkeeper at where he wants the service. Speaking of service, here is Danny Whitehall, who's been receiving plenty of it over these past few games. Now tries to turn provider and slide in Callum Roberts, who made a disguised run through the half to the penalty area. But the Rushall defence were alert and managed to clear it away. Only for now, though, as here is Joe Rowley out on that far right-hand side of the ground. Roberts gets caught. No free kick is awarded, though, and Rushall will be able to try and drive away. This is King, but in trying to take on Michael Kelly on this near side of the ground, dribbles the ball a little bit too far out in front of himself and immediately turns it over. We are into the 45th minute. You can see the electronic board is just getting itself prepared for the moment, and we're about to see exactly how many minutes of stoppage time are going to be added on. Whitehall with a flicked header on behind. A little bit of push and shove off the ball, but it's Carlton Ubazonu who is the man who is found to be guilty of the infringement against Josh Green. And Rushall will have themselves a free kick halfway inside their defensive territory. Just the minute of stoppage time will be added on to the end of the first 45. First 45 that Scunthorpe find themselves in the lead. But Torps, is there anything that you could see that could be improved upon as we go in towards the break?
No, I think Andy Butler will be really, really pleased with the performance. It's been nice and solid. I don't think they've had a shot on target, Rushall. They've kind of created 2 or 3 half chances, Scunthorpe. Obviously, the goal itself was a mistake from Green, the right back. But in general, I think Andy Butler would be delighted. The surface is a little bit unplayable on occasions. You see it skidding off. First touch, you've seen many players, Scunthorpe and Rushall, both teams falling and slipping. It's not the ideal service, but Scunthorpe seem to have dealt with it so far so good, and I think Andy Butler in general will be really pleased.
Just a slight stoppage in play there for the moment. Danny Whitehall caught a little bit of a knock into the back of the head, but he's rubbing it clean and is going to be okay to continue. Andy Butler now urging his players to push up and push over towards that far right-hand side of the ground where we are positioned, as Kelly pretty much right on the halfway line strikes the ball with his left foot into the penalty area. It goes a header down towards Rowley, who takes a snapshot through a couple of bodies, but the last touch comes off of an iron body and will go out for a goal kick to Rushall Olympic. So we are past the minute of minimum added on time, but of course with the slight stoppage that we had there with Danny Whitehall, there'll be a few more seconds that will be added on as White sets himself ready for this goal kick to go long down the ground over towards that far side of the ground, and the referee will blow his whistle to signal half time. Well, the first game of 2025 so far is going to plan, albeit maybe not plan A, for Andy Butler and Scunthorpe United. A fortuitous mistake that was capitalised on, initially thinking the chance was going to fall to Carlton Ubazonu inside the 6-yard box, but instead it's that man again, Danny Whitehall, with 5 goals in his last 3 appearances, is the difference maker. Still a little bit of work to do to secure the points back to Scunthorpe in the end of this one, but at the half-time break, as it stands, it's Rushall Olympic 0, Scunthorpe United 1.
Commentary from Ben Fitzpatrick this afternoon here on BBC Radio Humberside. We'll get some closing thoughts from Steve Torpey in a moment's time here on Humberside Sport Live. All going according to plan so far for Scunthorpe United, and if things remain as they are or get even better, the Iron will be top of the National League North table this evening. Let's go back to Steve Torpey for a couple of moments. Steve, not a classic by the sound of it, but very effective.
Yeah, I think the surface is not, I don't know, it's sometimes unplayable. It's a little bit.
Unfortunately, we've lost Steve so far. We'll get his thoughts on the second half very soon. Well, let's go back to Steve Torpey once again. Scunthorpe United lead at the break by 1-0 against Rushall Olympic at Dales Lane. Let's check in once again with Steve Torpey. Steve, the surface, by the sound of it, having its say in that first half.
Yeah, from both teams. Teams have slipped in and around the 18-yard box, and at the moment both teams have got away with it. But it's a difficult surface with the coldness and the frost just lying on the top of the pitch. But Scunthorpe have dealt with it really well, considering they don't play on it a regular occurrence. A real good goal in terms of finish from Danny Whitehall, quite composed. It was 5 or 6 yards out. A mistake from Green, Rushall's right back. And it kind of led to Ubuzunu. Really should have finished it himself. Dug out of his feet. The goalkeeper's made like I say, about 5 or 6 yards. Apart from that, there's not been many chances. I would say Joe Rowley had a chance where it's been cut back to the penalty spot, and he probably should have struck that first time, but he's taken a touch and that opportunity went. But in general, I think Andy Butler will be really pleased. It's been a comfortable first half for Scunthorpe without setting the world alight. And so I can't remember Rushall having an attempt on goal. A couple of cross come shots, but in general, I think Andy Butler will be really pleased for this first half.
Satisfying stuff then at the break. The Scunthorpe United lead at Rushall Olympic by 1-0. That goal coming from Danny Whitehall. Let me bring you up to date with the scores from the games this afternoon and into the closing stages. The last few minutes of Leicester against Queen's Park Rangers. Leicester pulling away. They lead by 5-2 in the third round of the FA Cup. It's AFC Bournemouth 3, West Bromwich Albion 1 at half-time. Goalless between Brentford and Plymouth announcing a new manager last night. Chelsea have a 1-0 lead against Morecambe at Stamford Bridge. It's Exeter 2, Oxford 1, Norwich 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Nottingham Forest 1, Luton 0, goalless between Reading and Burnley, and Stoke lead at Sunderland by 1-0. The evening kickoffs, Leeds take on Harrogate in that mouth-watering Yorkshire derby. Loads of connections in the Harrogate side with Leeds United. I think many people say that Harrogate is a team formed by Leeds United fans in some cases. Manchester City against Salford, they are 5:45 kickoffs, and Coventry against Sheffield Wednesday is a 6 o'clock kickoff. Games already played in the FA Cup. Birmingham 2, Lincoln 1, Bristol City 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Middlesbrough 0, Blackburn Rovers 1 and Liverpool 4, Accrington Stanley 0. Into League One, many of the games postponed because of the FA Cup and because of the weather. In fact, one game that's it being played this afternoon. It's Rotherham 3, Bolton Wanderers 1, and that is a full-time score. Pretty much the same picture when it comes to League Two. The game that we would have brought you earlier on, but it was called off a couple of hours before kick-off. Grimsby against Notts County. Full-time confirmed, Walsall 5, Tranmere 1, and the game between Swindon and Crewe has been suspended. I'm just looking at the reasons why. Difficult to play in these conditions, says the former Swindon Town player Paul Bodin, who is the summariser on BBC Wiltshire. And picture is pretty bleak when it comes to the National League North as well. In fact, apart from Scunthorpe's current lead over Rushall, 1-0 at half-time, there is just the one game being played in the National League North this afternoon. Half-time, it's Buxton 2, Chester 3. Second half commentary to come from Dales Lane soon.
Hidden East Yorkshire.
She was immensely important in the history of feminism.
This was a dramatic incident. You know, it was just unbelievable that this ship could sink.
Once above the clouds, I looked forward to catching my first sight of foreign land, for I've never flown outside England before.
And Secret Lincolnshire.
We have been warned by the police to move away from the Nipro plant because, in fact, they are expecting a second explosion.
The ghost signature was to tap 3 times.
Hidden East Yorkshire and Secret Lincolnshire. Search and subscribe on BBC Sounds.
Every game live. BBC BBC Radio Humberside Sport.
Half time in your big match commentary this afternoon. Scunthorpe United lead by 1-0 at Rushall Olympic. Danny Whitehall with the goal for the Irons. Second half commentary to come from Ben Fitzpatrick and Steve Torpey. Now, families and former players this week called for more help for those affected by dementia. Now, it comes as the former Manchester United and Blackburn defender David May revealed on BBC Breakfast on BBC One yesterday that Hull City legend Dean Windass has been diagnosed with the illness.
I only spoke to Dean Windass yesterday.
And for our audience, Dean Windass is...
Dean Windass, ex-professional footballer. I spoke to Dino, I asked him how he is. He's been diagnosed with stage 2 dementia. And he's the same age as me. And he's worried sick of how it's going to be in the future for him.
And you're sharing that information, just to be clear, because he's shared that.
Because he shared it with me.
Wanting that message out there.
Yes, absolutely.
The message needs to get out there. It does.
Well, that is David May talking on BBC Breakfast last night. Now, since then, Dean Windass has been on his social media and thanked people for the support that they've given to him following the revelation by David May yesterday, including a message of support from David Beckham that was shared earlier on last night. Dean Windass saying yesterday afternoon on social media, seriously, I am okay, was delighted to find out I had a brain. Just hope other families get the help that they want for the people that they have lost. That's Dean Windass's own words on social media. Well, our Scunthorpe United summariser, you're hearing him this afternoon, Steve Torpey, is a regional coach with the Professional Footballers Association. That's the Players' Union. Now, last night I spoke to Steve about this issue.
Must be really worrying for Dean and the rest ex-players and current players who are suffering from this. It's really scary. I'm in a similar situation. I'm 54 and I've not been tested, and you know these things are concerning when you hear these certain scenarios.
Yeah, and for you, Steve, as a traditional kind of number 9 type striker as you were, and a goal-scoring striker, how worried are you personally? Are you planning to get tested now? Are you looking to maybe go through that sort of testing regime to see what effects it might have happened on you?
Yeah, we've there's a process working with the PFA and the FA that if you're between the ages of 30 and 55, you can go for some advanced brain to an advanced brain clinic in London and get tested for dementia and other brain injuries. So I definitely will be probably looking at doing that in the new year for sure.
It's easy to assume that many players, the likes of Dean, have been affected by heading the ball in match scenarios, but I guess for every header you do in an actual official game, you'll have done probably twice, 3 or 4 times that in practice as well. So the effects aren't just about games, are they? It's about the training regime as well.
Yeah, I think the training is probably where you will do the majority of your heading. I know it's changed slightly and the introduction to some new rules around the grassroots game. But yeah, when I played, it was like literally players kicking balls from 40, 50 yards and, you know, not just driven balls, they were up in the air. So different velocity on the flight of the balls, different headers, different types of headers. I was more of a striker to flick balls on. And I think the tests have proven in terms of the data that the PFA and FA have collected, where more centre halves are more susceptible to these brain injuries because they are actually meeting the ball full on from, e.g. a goalkeeper's kick.
When you're not working for us, you work during the week with the PFA, the Players' Union. What's the talk amongst the Players' Union right now? What guidance as ex-pros are you getting?
Well, we've gone with the FA and the PFA. They're laying down some guidelines for especially for the younger element, kind of grassroots. There's some rulings there, and heading's been banned from kind of 7 to under 9 age groups, and then it kind of you ease your way into it as you get a little bit older, as the brain develops. But there's other conditions where you can still get the technical aspect of it and the timing by using a different type of ball, maybe a softer, a spongy or a lighter weight football to use heading where it's not going to make as much impact as a big leather football.
It feels to me to be quite strange. On one hand, we're talking about someone like Dean Windass being diagnosed with stage 2 dementia, yet tomorrow hundreds of footballers will go out playing and head the ball.
Yeah, I think in a game, I think it's inevitable that you're going to head the ball in terms of in a game situation. But I think if we can start to reduce heading, which I think people are aware of now, I deliver courses to under 18s at professional clubs, and we make sure that they have got that understanding that if you don't need to head the ball, you don't need to head the ball. Use it in a different way, use it in a different format, but not old school like it used to be, where you do heading practice. Like defenders would literally stand in the 18-yard box and literally, like I say, balls coming from 60, 70 yards, high velocity balls, different heights, different driven in with power and pace, and they've just been attacking it for 10, 15 minutes. You know, that's definitely going to have a detrimental effect on somebody's brain health for sure.
I think back to perhaps even last season when I've seen games, you'll see one of the coaching staff, they'll line up the 3 or 4 defenders in whoever's team. Each will get the ball thrown to them, head straight back to the coach, to the next player, rinse, repeat for the warm-up before a game at 3 o'clock. Can you see in time perhaps that will have to stop?
I think that kind of practice is okay. It's a controlled practice, isn't it? I think it's under control, and you're only looking 10 yards away, so you're not really looking at the velocity of the ball. And there's a misconception, I think, where they say, oh, the balls are lighter nowadays compared to maybe the 60s and the 70s. But the velocity and the pace of the ball moves so much quicker that it probably counteracts that argument, where they're probably very similar, I would guess. But I think as long as it's in a controlled manner, it's when you're not expecting the ball, or it comes off not your forehead, it comes off the top of your head and you see a flash or a star. You know, that is concussion, a mild strain of concussion you've just experienced. So it is vitally important, and we need to educate the coaches, we need to educate the players, where minimal heading is probably going to be the way forward. Is the 11v professional game going to change in terms of set pieces, throw-ins? Are they going to be hand on so you could just play from the side instead of throwing it down the line or throwing it into the box? You know, there's lots of stuff to consider, and I think the game will adapt and change because of these issues.
If ex-pro footballers are sort of hearing these interviews like today, hearing about Dean Windus' situation, hearing from David May, is there a network within the PFA that players can go to and say, look, I might not need testing right now, but is there someone I can talk to? Is there a support network out there for former players?
Yeah, we've got around about 12 departments within the PFA. Brain health is there. That's been introduced more recently over the last 3, 4, 5 years, specifically aimed at brain health. So if any players have got any concerns, they should get in touch with the PFA, and they can help them and guide them through any worries that they potentially have.
Steve Torpey talking to me last night, talking about and reflecting on the news that we brought you and was on BBC Breakfast yesterday morning on the iPlayer and BBC One, that Dean Windus has been diagnosed with stage 2 dementia, and everybody here at the BBC in East Yorkshire and Lincolnshire wishes Dean well. He has said that he's fine and okay, and he's just getting on with things. So Dean, from us, best wishes to you. Full time in the 2 o'clock kickoff in the FA Cup, Leicester City have beaten Queen's Park Rangers by 6 goals to 2. That will be a decent one to watch on Match of the Day this evening.
Fiona Mills.
Weekend mornings from 6.
I decided to take my decorations down. Got this big storage bag for Christmas trees and decorations, which they're brilliant. Put everything in, left the room to get something else. Came back, zipped it up, put it over my shoulder, and I thought, okay, this is really heavy. And it was just as I got onto the second step, I heard I'll have to investigate that. So put it down, opened it up, and there was Pablo Cat, who had snuck into the bag, and he was nearly on his way up to the loft. That cat, he must be on life number 23 now.
Fiona Mills.
Weekend mornings from 6 on BBC Radio Humberside.
To get the latest on Scunthorpe United,
click subscribe on BBC Sounds.
So waiting the teams out for the second half here on BBC Radio Humberside. Scunthorpe United have a 1-0 lead over Rushall Olympic. They are the bottom side in the National League North table, but as things stand, if things remain as they are with a glut of games all called off, there is just one other game in the National League North this afternoon. It would mean that Scunthorpe United top the division, top the National League North table at 5 o'clock this evening. Commentary for the second half to come. Let me bring you some of the half-time scores. Games about to resume across the country in the FA Cup. It's Bournemouth 3, West Bromwich Albion 1 now. Brentford and Plymouth is goalless. Still Chelsea 1-0 over Morecambe. That game about to kick off in the second half, as is Exeter 2, Oxford 1, Norwich City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 2. Nottingham Forest's impressive run in the Premier League is being replicated in the FA Cup. They have a 1-0 lead over Luton Town this afternoon. Ryan Yates, the former Scunthorpe United loanee, with the goal in that game. It's goalless between Reading and Burnley, and it's just resuming at the Stadium of Light, where it's Sunderland 0, Stoke City 1. Some tasty games then this evening. Leeds United taking on Harrogate Town. That's a 5:45 kick-off, as is Manchester City against Salford. Couple of very interesting games with Premier League and top-level teams against teams from League 2, and an all-championship game at 6 o'clock this evening in the FA Cup, where it's Coventry City against Sheffield Wednesday. That one kicks off at 6 o'clock. Leeds against Harrogate, Manchester City against Salford is 5:45. Just one game in League 1 this afternoon. It has already been played, and Rotherham have beaten Bolton Wanderers by 3-1. And in League 2, a reminder that what was meant to be intended to be our first commentary game of the afternoon, and that was at Blundell Park, Grimsby Town against Notts County, was postponed a couple of hours before kick-off. Quick reminder that Grimsby have apologised for the late game. They've said on social media in the last few minutes, following today's late postponement, we wanted to provide supporters of both clubs with a full explanation of the events ultimately that led to the decision to call off the game. Now, this is a statement that's just been released by the club, and they say, as of yesterday, the Blundell Park pitch was deemed to be in good condition despite the sub-zero temperatures, providing the temperature didn't drop too far below that was being forecast overnight. There was an optimism about the game being called off. They've apologised to both sets of fans for the lateness of the decision, and what it also means is that they've had to delay the tribute to those who were lost in 2024 connected to Grimsby Town. Second half commentary then, Scunthorpe United at Rushall. It comes from Ben Fitzpatrick and former player Steve Torpey.
Yes, welcome back everybody, and a quick change to tell you about at half-time as well for Rushall Olympic. Woodscoo, the brand new loan signing, Benjamin Woodscoo from Birmingham City, is making his debut. It is Liam McCallendon that is making his way, has made his way off at the half-time break. We are already underway here in action as Scunthorpe have the ball inside the penalty area. Now this is Williams just turning away from two danger men off to Whitehall. Doesn't quite get the connection. Rowley diving block there. Cameron, as the ball's still not cleared out of the penalty area. Here is Ubazonu. A couple of appeals, looks like for handball, I think, from Danny Whitehall in particular, but the referee allows play to continue as Scales has possession inside their attacking half. Roberts, Rowley fighting tooth and nail and wins the free kick after drawing the foul from Thomas. We've seen a strong first 60 seconds for Scunthorpe United into this second half, as we welcome back Steve Torpey. Steve.
Yeah, bright start, only 90 seconds into the second half, and a couple of half chances here. Just wanted to drop. Couldn't see who it was. I think it was Ubazunu who's kind of flicked on, tried to create a bit of space, and Rushall managed to clear the lines. But a real bright start from Scunthorpe.
So a free kick opportunity. It's about 25-30 yards out from goal, wide right of the penalty area, about 10 yards in from the right-hand touchline. Roberts, high delivery with the left boot, coming out with two hands is the keeper, White. It is Ubazonu, though, now driving onto his right boot, tries the shots. and the follow-up from Whitehall goes over the crossbar. But some good intent early on from Scunthorpe United into this second half, and I imagine, Torps, that would have been something that would have headlined the halftime team talks, is get the second goal and get it early so that we can really feel confident in ourselves for the rest of this matchup.
Yeah, I think if they get that second goal, I think that will be game over. Really unlucky that Uberzunu's come in from the left, just in around the 18-yard box, tried to shoot and it got blocked. It just fell for Whitehall, and it's maybe a little bit slightly impatient, just didn't let the ball drop. Hit a little bit too early and then got under the ball and it went over the crossbar. But, you know, a real good start from Scunthorpe. I'm sure Andy Butler would have just said, carry on, can we get this second goal? Can we create a few more chances? But if we can get that second goal, then ultimately I think that could kill Rushall off.
As a free kick awarded to the hosts Rushall Olympic, foul on Thomas, and the resulting free kick just too far out in front of Cian Riley, so it will go out for a throw-in for the visitors. It'll be Scales, who, remember, picked up that yellow card earlier on, but halfway into the first half for the challenge on Thomas. And has the ball in hand now, looking to throw the ball in long down the line. Doesn't beat the first man, however, in Cian Riley, who's on the ball once again, but an errant touch from him allows Rowley in via the back door. As Whitehall tries to spin off the back of Nathan Cameron. Long ball sent forwards. Here's Coogan. Rowley with a flicked header from behind, but it is Rushall that will clean things up. Nathan Cameron now to Martin. Long ball forward, straight onto the head of a stooping Coogan. Now Williams, first touch with his left foot, had to make him stretch slightly, but he's back into involvement here. Good courage there from Boyce, not to shy away from the header in with him and McClintock. And then the opposite number 7 for Scunthorpe, Clunan, sends the ball long towards the head of Whitehall, but once again there's nobody there to link up with the Scunthorpe number 9 from that first aerial contact. Now here is Hull. Along the ground it will go, but it splits the middle of the two Rushall Olympic men that were furthest forward, both King and the substitute Woodscoo. Now here is Scales, 5 yards in from the near right-hand touchline for Scunthorpe United for Roberts. Scales once again looking to try and find a way to cross the ball in, but takes a little bit too long on the ball and is forced to drive backwards. Now Coogan to Boyce inside the centre circle, clips a long ball over the top, but Uberzono wasn't looking for the ball over the top, was more maybe looking to chest in that body position, and now Rushall looking to try and go on the counter. Boyce was there though to just step in front of King, but they quickly take the throw in. King once again from Green. Cross goes into the penalty area. Fitzsimons doesn't decide to come for the ball, and it falls out the back for McClintock. But once again, Roberts and Scales do well, but then that's poor from Roberts. Opportunity for Thomas, and Rowley puts an important foot in there to stop Jack Thomas from really giving Ross Fitzsimons something to think about. Corner for Rushall to come in the 51st minute, where Scunthorpe still lead by a goal to 0. It's going to be McClintock that sets the ball ready for a right-footed in-swinging corner. As there's a man on the goalkeeper there, Fitzsimons, and Kelly is there with him as well to defend. Goes onto the front post, flicked on. There is Ford. Back to McClintock, still on this near side of the ground. Cross takes a hefty deflection from Carlton Uberzono, and they might set them free on the counter-attack here. Roberts just too far out in front of him. There would have been the potential question mark as to whether the assistance flag would have been raised or not if Roberts was to reach it, that ball, but it was too far out in front, so we will never know, unfortunately, for Roberts. But good start, and a better start from both sides, I think it's fair to say. Torps?
Yeah, Scunthorpe had the initial first couple of minutes, and Rushall just started to creep in the game a little bit more intent, a little bit more urgency and energy from the first half to the second half performance so far. But that was a great opportunity for Williams there. Just needs to take a little bit more care. He's tried to hit it with his outside of his right foot, and it's over it, quite considerably. Just take a little bit of care, because that was a massive opportunity there for a counter attack, and it just passed us by.
Long ball forwards once again, as Whitehall will take a snapshot, scores, but the flag does go up on this near side. It was offside by quite some margin, but you don't mind, even in a situation like that, your number 9 casually taking a half volley on the turn and striking home from about 25, 30 yards out. Hopefully a sign of things to come for the remainder of this second half. If he does manage to score, it will be his 3rd consecutive brace in 3 consecutive games as well. Be some doing as the ball on the ground for White. Forwards it will go towards the far right-hand side of the ground, headed forwards from Scunthorpe United, but not completely cleaned as McClintock doesn't quite work possession well enough in that final third from Rushall, and the ball goes into the hands safely of Ross Fitzsimons, who's going to go long down the ground over towards the Ubazonu direction. Little duel of heads between him and Green, but it is the latter that wins possession for his side. Now here's Hull on that far right hand side of the ground, slips as he releases the ball on the artificial surface. It allows Williams an opportunity to try and drive forwards right on that touchline over on the far side of the ground, and it draws a free kick as well over on that far side as the floodlights beam down, was switched on during the half-time break, and the atmosphere continuing to try and keep the heat around. Better, easier said than done with the weather conditions as they have been over the past week. As here's Scales right on the halfway line. Roberts back to Scales once again. Now out wider to the right-hand side for Rowley, who was offside. But a good passing move there, slick, and exactly what Andy Butler and, well, I imagine a wide range of Scunthorpe United fans would be more encouraged to hear about, that slicker passing in the final third, because that's something that Andy Butler in particular has slightly come under fire for, is maybe that sort of slower build-up. They want the exciting football when you've got some of these really key and creative players.
Yeah, that was a good intricate kind of combination play. It just Rowley just needs to look along the line. It looked really close, but he shouldn't be offside there. He can see all the way across the line. Just delay your run. He's got the pace and creating the space, but just be a bit careful. It's frustrating, for him to drift offside. And as a manager and a coach, you see that and you think, just have a little bit more patience. You've got the pace and the quality to get yourself into these 1v1 situations. So just hold your time, be patient, and when it comes, then try and exploit that space. But yeah, like you say, good bits of play, similar to the first half so far. I know we're only kind of 10 minutes in, but it's setting its own pattern, the same pattern as the first half. A bit of possession, but not really creating many chances. And the same with Rushall. They're not really troubling Scunthorpe at the moment. Long may they continue.
And this time now on the opposite flank, it's the opposite winger, Ubazonu, who's caught offside when exactly that exact same situation. You can see right across the line. And it'll be a little frustration that both of his wingers now, Andy Butler in quick succession, have seen themselves be caught as a first change for Scunthorpe is being prepared down below us. Looks like a couple of players as well being sent through their passes to warm up for Rushall. So for Scunthorpe United, this will be for lead preservation and potential extension. And for Rushall, it will be to try and get themselves a foothold back in this game. We've already made one change at the half-time break. Here is Riley, though, in the final third for Rushall. Evades Scales, cross comes in, and confident goalkeeping from Ross Fitzsimons, who throws the ball overarm, but too far out in front of Ubazonu. And it returned straight back over to the feet of Rushall Olympic. Here is Aaron Ford for Rushall, switching ball over towards this near side for Riley. Has to go backwards for the moment, though. Here is Martin, back to Riley. Scales tracking him, along with Roberts now, who jogs over towards him, but gets around Kian Scales. Ball goes in and it scores! A neat cutback, and it is the substitute, Benjamin Woodscoo, that draws things level. And just before the hour mark, that perfect 9-goal of unanswered record is ended. And Rushall Olympic, well, we said that they had a strong start to this second half. It's paid off, and now at Dales Lane, we are level.
Yeah, I think a really disappointing goal. It's come from down this left-hand side. Riley seems to have had all the time in the world. There's been no pressure on him. He's stepped over, got down the line and just pulled it back. Just ran about level with the near post and about 6 or 7 yards out. And the striker's just run in and siphoned it into in Ross Fitzsimon's bottom right-hand corner. Really disappointing goal because they've not looked a threat at all. And Andy Butler, just, I say, as we speak now, he's just about to make some substitutions.
Yeah, it's going to be a double change here for Scunthorpe United. It's going to be Jason Law will be the first change to make his way on. Williams is going to be the man to make way for him. And then Alfie Beeston is also there right on the halfway line. We'll find out exactly who he is replacing in just a moment. Looks like it's Carlton Ubazunu who is jogging off over this near side touchline, and he has indeed just come off the ground. So it is going to be Ubazunu that is going to make his way off of the ground, despite the number 15 that is on the electronic board. We can assure you that it is number 14, Carlton Ubazunu, that has made way. So double change, not necessarily in response to the goal, but certainly as a consequence of it. Williams and Ubazunu both off, Alfie Beeston and Jason Law on, and we are right back on the scoreline to where we started when we kicked off at 3 o'clock here this afternoon. It's Rushall Olympic 1, Scunthorpe United 1, and it's always games like these that are the fear against teams that have something to really, really play for, bottom of the division. Artificial surface where things can go wrong. As Scunthorpe looking for an immediate reply. Here is Roberts, tries to put the cross in but is deflected, goes out for a throw-in on this near side touchline. The Scunthorpe fans that have made the journey down here to Rushall trying to make their voices heard, as Scales, still with the ball at his feet in the penalty area, has to dribble his way out of it, and then is clever, draws the foul, gets his body in the right shape of position to force the contact from Keziah Martin. And this is going to be a dangerous opportunity to try and deliver the ball in just as the hour mark is coming up for this matchup. Rushall Olympic 1, Scunthorpe United 1, live from Dales Lane in this National League North contest. Clunan, I think Roberts, standing over the ball as Clunan peels away. So it's going to be the left foot of Callum Roberts against a two-man wall who are just 3 or 4 yards inside the penalty area. And a queue of players on the back post. That's exactly where the delivery will go. As White comes out to claim, goes to ground, sneaks, was urging, screaming and bellowing on the edge of its technical area for White to release the ball. But the goalkeeper just holds things firm for now, which I think in his mind is just sort of that old school ride the 5-10 minute storm of the team that have just conceded and then look to try and spring as Whitehall tries to link up with the substitute Law over on that far side, but it doesn't quite work out. Well, now what do you do if you're Andy Butler and Scunthorpe United? Mike Tyson famously said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. Well, the smack certainly has come. So how does Scunthorpe look to respond?
Yeah, I think it's more of a slap in the face than a punch. But I get your point. But yeah, they've got to be a little bit more possession based. They're just losing possession, not keeping the ball as they did a little bit better the first half. And then just be a bit more creative. I don't think they've created anything so far this second half. 15 minutes into it, they've not had a shot on target. So a little bit worrying signs, but so still got plenty of time to try and create something. And I don't know if his thoughts maybe with bringing John back on, but then do you go route one and launch it into the box? They're doing all right, Rushall. They've come into it. They've squeezed up a little bit higher line, so there's there's space, but because the pitch is so firm, it's just running on. So you've got to think about that quality and the type of passes they're playing to the strikers.
As Scunthorpe lose possession again, and Rushall Olympic really enjoying a strong spell at the opening stages in this second half so far. Rowley's ball looking for Roberts, gets deflected on its way forwards by Thomas, goes out for a throw, which is taken immediately by Scales. Rowley runs into troubles, and it's easy there for Aaron Ford to clean up. Now, here is Benjamin Woodscoo, who will win firmly in his sails. A debut and a debut goal as well after coming on at half-time. Took him just, 12 minutes by my count since making his way onto the Dow's Lane pitch for the first time to putting a ball into the back of a National League North net. As Maxim Coogan now with the ball at his feet launches it forwards but splits the middle straight away between Whitehall and Law, as it is Law that has gone onto that far left-hand side where Ubazonu was in that first 45, and for the rest before he made his way off, Williams, the other substitute who has been replaced by Alfie Beeston, as Hull for Rushall Olympic launches the ball forwards to his opposite number 3, who can only head the ball back across that far side touchline. 63 minutes coming up to play. 1-1 between Rushall and Scunthorpe United live for BBC Radio Humberside, where of course fast past 5 o'clock you can get in touch with us on the socials and via the phone numbers 08000 666 5959 or text 81333 and start your texts with the letters RH to let us know your thoughts on what you have been either seeing if you're tuning in with us here live at Dow's Lane, or around and listening across all frequencies for Radio Humberside Sport, as long ball forward is errant from the fullback for Rushall Olympic, and we'll go out over that far side for a throw-in right on the halfway line is where this throw-in is getting ready to be taken. Clunan retrieves it and sees it straight back to Kelly, who had to deal with it quickly. Woodscoo, who got a taped up left wrist, a la sort of a Jamie Vardy style bandaging that he's brandishing. And certainly sharing some of the goal-scoring prowess of him, but here is Beeston now for Roberts into the penalty area, trying to find onto that favoured left boot, cuts back in and then out, squaring ball to Beeston, looking for some space. Rowley driving closer towards the byline, just took a little bit too long. Now Scales with the ultimate cross in, headed backwards and away, and Law can only jog and watch it go over that far side touchline. It's going to be a throw-in for Scunthorpe as they look to dial the pressure back up and take this game right back to the hosts. Kelly looking for Beeston and Law. Kelly once again, this time puts the cross in, but it's straight onto the feet of Joseph Hull. Boyce retrieves to Coogan inside the centre circle. Now Scales 10 yards in from the right-hand touchline. It looks like a second change is being prepared for Rushall Olympic here. Just talking to the man with the electronic board. It is the player coach Sam Mantum that is getting himself prepared to be introduced. There's a long ball forward from Coogan, headed away by Nathan Cameron over this near side touchline. And is the change going to be made now? It is indeed. In response, Andy Butler is going to make a change of his own as well. Brad Nicholson is about ready to come on. But first, let's go through the change for Rushall Olympic. It's McClintock that is making his way off the ground. 66 minutes on the clock for him. And Sam Mantum will make his way onto the ground. The returning midfielder is former Scunthorpe United as well, Sam Manton. 46 appearances, 3 goals, 2 assists through his time with the Iron from 2016 to 2018. Now comes on for what is just appearance number 6 in the league for him this campaign. And as for the Scunthorpe change, it's going to be Joe Rowley that will make his way off. Nicholson, the man to replace him. So change for either side. And Brad Nicholson to make his way on. Does that potentially mean, Torps, that there could be a change of shape coming here for Scunthorpe?
Yeah, I think Nicholson's gone to that left back role. Kelly's come into the right back role. and Kean Scales has gone into midfield, his favourable midfield, which he's done so well over recent weeks. So hopefully that can just inspire and just make something happen, because at the moment it's a little bit stale and no real creativity in there. Can this be the difference and hopefully set us on our way with a second goal?
I think actually as well that Callum Roberts has gone in as sort of a second striker. It looks like he's playing a little bit more advanced than he was throughout the remainder of this game so far. So might even have the options to be a 4-2-4 in transition here, with Scales going into a sort of a right wing position as well. In the meantime, though, free kick has been won for Rushall Olympic right in the halfway point of their attacking half. Clunan having a word with the official, as well as it looks like Jason Law was just being called over for a passing conversation. And the referee holds out his right hand and tells everyone on the playing surface to wait for the whistle, as we all wait for a potential for Scunthorpe United to try and get themselves back into this contest. Here comes that free kick up towards the penalty spot. Boyce with a header away, and then the clearance from Scales, trying to find Roberts, who again was the furthest forwards from these defensive set pieces. The two number 9s duel at it, and it's going to be a Rushall Olympic throw. Whitehall making his feelings known to the officiating crew around Dow's Lane. And Rushall, with Keziah Martin slowly walking towards the ball, might be getting himself ready into game and point conservation mode. 3 games unbeaten, with 2 of those against title and playoff contenders. Certainly isn't a bad opening statement for Richard Snakes in his opening as full-time Rushall manager. But will he be looking for a win here, as here is an opportunity and a goal? Again, out of nothing seemingly for Rushall Olympic, and it's another substitute contribution. It's Sam Mantum that fires home from 12 yards out off of a pullback. I think it was Woodscoo that actually initially set him up as well. And just like that, Rushall Olympic, before the 70th minute mark, find themselves ahead by 2 goals to 1.
Yeah, really disappointing. Just a little bit stoppy play for me down our left-hand side. Too easy to get the cross in. They ricocheted pulled it back very similar to the first goal. So it's put about 12, 13 yards out and just smashed it with his right foot hard and low. And it's gone in and down to Ross Fitzsimon's left-hand side. Real disappointing goal, but I don't know how Scunthorpe are going to get back into this game, because at the moment Rushall seems on the ascendancy and they seem to be on their front foot a lot more than Scunthorpe.
Well, 2 substitutes, and how impactful they have been for Rushall Olympic, who at the balance of the first half's play looked like that they were having a typical sort of day at the office pre-Richard Snakes, but now with a strong second half performance. Goals from Benjamin Woodscoo and Sam Mantum are in the lead against the team that were looking prepared to go top of the National League North, as Mark Beck is prepared now to make his way onto the ground at the next available point. And this really has got to be Andy Butler going for it and sending everything at his disposal to try and even potentially just rescue a point from Dow's Lane. We're getting towards that point in the evening as Rushall come again. Here is Mantum trying to play the ball across the box in towards Riley, but again Scunthorpe can't get it clean away. Here is Keziah Martin now, about 20 yards out from goal, tries to cut onto his right boot, but the ball just skids away from him on the surface there. And now Scunthorpe will look to try and drive forwards and counter themselves. Whitehall came back from an offside position, and with this stoppage we are now going to get to see this 4th change from Scunthorpe United. It is going to be Beck that is going to make his way onto the ground, and it is going to be Kean Scales that is going to make his way off. So if we thought that potentially that Andy Butler was looking to move to a 4-2-4 before in the earlier substitution with Nicholson in the system shuffle, this feels like talks that this is really signalling an all-out attack mentality.
Yeah, you got to look for a plan B and try and mix it up and change it, because at the moment it's not working. From the first half to be in that comfortable position, and probably the first 10 minutes of the second half to now, where really just giving them a little bit of hope, and they've really grasped that. Rushall gone on to score one goal and then the second goal, and now it's a real uphill task for Scunthorpe. The conditions are not great. You've got two big strikers up front, and they're quite a high line, Rushall. So think about the quality that goes into the strikers, and can they feed off them? We need runners and players to play off them, because if they just pump it up there with no quality, and we've seen it before, they're not going to get any reward. So I think I don't know if they're going with a back three, or I don't know if they stick with a back four at the moment. So we'll have a little look the next minutes and get back with a different change in formation.
Yeah, it looks early that it is gone to a back three of sorts, with Kelly, Coogan and Boyce sort of being the furthest three that were back for the moment. But now here comes Rushall Olympic once again. Lovely slide rule pass from Martin to Woodscoo, who's looked really lively since being introduced. Was only announced as a loan signing yesterday evening. As a throw-in is going to be awarded to Scunthorpe. They've just been forced to take the throw-in about 10-15 yards back from where Beeston had the ball initially into hand. Long forwards, but it's headed down by Rushall Olympic. It was Hull. Now here is Manton, the scorer of the second goal that has put the Picks ahead here at Dales Lane. Now Martin, halfway inside the attacking half for the hosts. Ford, Manton looking for a floated ball in. Man goes down off the ball against Nicholson. It was King that went down, but it was only really the fans that were protesting and claiming for the penalty kick. Play continues, and Sam Manton goes down to the halfway line and over this touchline for a throw-in. Here is Beeston now, looking to try and charge forwards through everybody, but doesn't find a clear pathway through. Inside the centre circle now, continue Scunthorpe United. Law, Roberts, every single player out there now in an iron shirt, looking to try and be the hero, as Boyce has to be careful here against the loaning Woodscoot. Does well with his front to goal. Now here is Ross Fitzsimons, and just seeing him there with a body language, trying to look and ask for options. As forwards it will go. Beck leaps, finds the header down, but can't find Whitehall. Now Martin, just a couple of yards off of the edge of his own penalty area, angles a pass forwards to Riley, who is contending with Kelly there as well. Michael Kelly does well. It's a nice physical battle that's happening over there, and Kelly ends up being the beneficiary, but can't find the pass to Danny Whitehall. Ford now, little glancing header off of Coogan, and Riley is on his back. Big handball appeals from fans and management staff as well. But the referee shakes his head and allows the throw-in to be awarded. 75 minutes gone, so 15 minutes plus stoppage time left for Scunthorpe United to find at least one goal to get a point back from Dales Lane, as they currently trail on BBC Radio Humberside 2-1 against Rushall Olympic. Woodscoot can't beat three Scunthorpe United players who are around him, and now the Iron look to try and counter through Law, straight through the heart of midfield, but stopped in his tracks, turns around and finds himself a little bit of space, but now indecision creeping across the body language of Jason Law, finds Michael Kelly, left-footed ball over towards the head of Beck. Still around for Beck, and Scunthorpe at the edge of the penalty area. High boot, very harsh shout there from Danny Whitehall in particular. The play continues, and Coogan will guide the ball safely back to Ross Fitzsimons. It feels like there is a little bit more urgency now across the Scunthorpe United players, Torps, but it's urgency over quality at the moment.
Yeah, there needs to be urgency in their play. They need to move the ball quickly, but once you've got that 2-goal lead or 2-1 lead, it can be easy just to sit back and drop off and soak up a little bit of pressure. And Rushall have increased the tempo from the first half and look a lot more livelier up front.
Beeston.
Sorry, yeah, Alfie Beast just got brought down for a free kick, but they need to get back into the game as quick as they can. You know, from going to getting 3 points, now we're looking that we may not get a single point out of this game. Really disappointing.
Yeah, as Beeston has been brought down just about 19 yards out from goal here. Ford is being called over to commune with the official. I'm not sure if he's the one that's been shown the yellow card. Referee does have a different player over there as well. Now Nathan Cameron joins in with the conversation. Rushall Olympic will be potentially finding themselves in a bit of an unknown situation here, as it's Joseph Hull, that was the man that was shown yellow for that challenge on Alfie Beeston. Yeah, this will be slightly unknown territory here for Rushall Olympic, given their recent form. The last 3 defeats that they've had in the National League North, all of them have been by this very scoreline, 2-1, losing to Scarborough, Chorley and Oxford. And now here in this January evening, they are on the positive side of a 2-1 scoreline, but they have to be very, very sharp defensively from this set piece to make sure that scoreline stays. It's Callum Roberts that stands over the ball with his left foot. I think it's Whitehall as well there, that's just a couple of strides further backwards, threatening to shoot with the right as well. The referee has blown the whistle. 4-man wall. It will be Roberts! And I think, has it been saved? No, it's hit the outside of the post there from Paul White, but he was scampering to his left-hand side. That was a very, very good chance there, Torps.
Yeah, you know his quality, Roberts there, and he's just had a 2-3 yard run up, really kind of got it over the wall, bit of curl, bit of bend on it, thought he was going to hit the back and it just went past the far post and, you know, inches there. But I say they're great areas for Roberts there, so if we can start to build on that and just create a few more chances, you know, the game's not dead by any means, but they need to get something back in it as quick as they can.
Scunthorpe United win a throw-in decision there, as both teams were making their appeals felt. Kelly back to Coogan. Boyce in space, halfway inside the defensive territory, and that's exactly where the pass will go with those familiar patterns. Still doesn't look like that there's too much of a change in terms of the defensive makeup, where the shape still looks like there is a pretty pronounced 4 as Roberts floats the ball in. Beck completely miscues it and gets it wrong straight off of his shin, it looked like there. Andy Butler, a visceral reaction, hands smushed right across the front of the face. But they have to rebuild and pick up and go again with still just over 10 minutes plus stoppage left to play. But that is a chance that you'd expect a quality of Mark Beck to be converting from there at close range, Torps. Still going on opportunity here. Beeston was just driving through the heart of the penalty area, and Scunthorpe United win themselves a corner. We'll quickly try and get Torps to comment on that Beck chance.
Yeah, Robert's done really well down that left-hand side. A perfect cross, a little lofted cross in the middle of the goal, around about, say, 10, 12 yards out. Goal opening up, free come off. Tried to siphon with his left foot, looked like it come off his shin and went high and wide. Well, not high, but 3 or 4. Well, it went out from the corner flag. It was that poor an opportunity.
As repeated crosses make their way into the Rushall Olympic defensive penalty area, but nothing has managed to come of it, and now some frustration going across the face of Andy Butler. Fitzsimons gets a little bit more adventurous. The ball turned over, but thankfully for Scunthorpe United, not cleanly. Ball played forward here. Offside flag has stayed down as well. Ball played across, cleared away from the line. Still not fully dangerous here, and near the 6-yard box. Here's Beeston, and it's been spooned over the crossbar. There will be a corner to come though that did take a deflection, but another massive opportunity there for Scunthorpe United to try and get themselves back level in this game. Final 9.5 minutes left plus stoppage to play. Live on BBC Radio Humberside, still 2-1 Scunthorpe trail. Good corner, close range in, but it's cleared away. Clunan with a header back in. Then there's Woodscoo with the bandage on his right wrist, heading clear, doing the defensive duties after helping bring Rushall Olympic back in the game from the other end. And then a bit of bemusement across the players and coaching staff there as Josh Green elected to just clear the ball long for distance as opposed to playing along the ground and try and set Kean Riley free and through on goal to get that 2-goal buffer. And Scunthorpe will now look to build themselves once again. Here's Coogan right on the halfway line. Boyce, little check at the shoulder as Jason Law takes over now, driving in towards the final third. Left-footed cross in up towards the back post, but it's too far away from Mark Beck. Another deflection on the way through it took, though. So Scunthorpe United, well, this is good match preparation corner practice, but they've got to make one of these opportunities count to rescue a point from Dow's Lane.
Yeah, it's one-way traffic at the moment now. Scunthorpe really on in a sense he should have scored. Mark Beck, Roberts has an opportunity and a couple of chances have been blocked. But, nothing's come of these chances, these good chances. They need to convert one.
And the initial danger from the corner is cleared away, but now coming back, here's Beeston with a left-footed cross, but it's way too close into the 6-yard box for Paul White to come and collect. And Richard Snakes will be watching on and possibly watching his side on the cusp of going 3 games unbeaten with wins, and 2 of those wins coming against the top 3 or 4 teams in the division. The run starting against Kidderminster Harriers, a 1-0 victory away from home at Agbra that evening. And now back here in Dales Lane, they could be looking to replicate a very similar feat against Scunthorpe United. Still time for the Iron though, as we're coming up to the 83rd minute live on BBC Radio Humberside. It's all action and all systems go for Scunthorpe. But now as Coogan, just with his front to goal, looks to try and cushion the ball towards this near side touchline. Kelly does well with the energy that he has left to keep the ball from going into touch on this near side, as every precious second and decision is going to start to count. Here is Jason Law now, just taking the ball from defence into attacking half. Now Roberts, halfway inside attacking territory for the Iron, looks to find a slide rule pass in there as Law found himself free, but it was just too far out in front of him, and it'll be another goal kick for Rushall Olympic. Well, in the wake of what is looking at what could potentially be the result if things are to stay the way they are, you can get in touch with James and the team, of course, from 5 o'clock via 08000 66 5959 or from text message 81333. Make sure you start your texts with the letters RH. And I imagine there will be some very passionate Scunthorpe United fans if the scoreline is to stay the way that it is. The goal kick goes over the head of Kelly without any contact, and it goes out for a throw-in. Not the start to 2025 that Andy Butler and Scunthorpe United would have envisioned. But as we continue to say, there is still time, and football is a very, very funny game sometimes, as Clunan takes over possession inside the centre circle. On the ground it will go to Kelly, who is starting to advance a little bit further on. Beck controls it down with his back to goal, 19 yards out, but immediately turns the ball over as well. Just took a little bit too long. Threaded pass through to Woodscoo, who has stayed onside as well there. A clever little check over his shoulder, up against Coogan, driving to the byline, tries the left-footed cross and gets the corner for Rushall Olympic. And the noise levels from the home fans have risen over the past 10-15 minutes, understandably so, with their team in the lead. And Rushall will now look to start taking their time and setting up for these keep it in the corner routines, as Kelly sends the ball over the touchline for another throw-in. A little glance across to the benches. No other changes being prepared at the moment from what I can see. Rushall still have more 3 unused substitutes. Scunthorpe just the 1, and that's Will Evans, that is still waiting on the bench at the moment for the Iron, as Andy Butler tries to issue as many instructions as he possibly can to get this ball going quickly. They have done so. Long ball sent forwards. Beck doesn't get the header. Instead, it's more off of the chest of Hull. Beasting though, lovely touch and stride through the legs of Mark Beck, and then maybe a little bit of miscommunication between Law and Boyce, but it works out. Cross goes in with the left foot, and it's up from Hull. Little bump there as well off the ball between Whitehall and the goalkeeper White, but it is going to be another corner delivery. Coogan is making his way up. Law and Kelly just outside of the penalty area themselves as well, as it is virtually every Scunthorpe player eligible in the penalty area. Right-footed cross is slipping when he takes the corner though, and it's cleared by the front man. Law backwards to Fitzsimons, about 10-15 yards away from the halfway line as he sends this long ball forward, flicked header on, but it's only as far as Thomas, who tries potentially the long, audacious attempt with Fitzsimons quite some way out of safety. But the ball back to the goalkeeper's feet. Here now is Kelly, 10 yards in from this near right-hand side, but still not too much on offer at the moment. Up ahead of him, so has to go over towards that far left-hand side of the ground. Now here's Roberts up against Ford right up ahead of him, and then trying to push forwards again. It was Nicholson that was making the driving run forward, but can only find the byline. And it's a goal kick for Rushall Olympic. 87.5 minutes played live on BBC Radio Humberside. And it's Rushall Olympic 2, Scunthorpe United 1. And Torps, if there is one primary thing that has gone wrong between the first and second half here for Scunthorpe United this evening, what do you think that's been?
Well, it's a bit of a mad 12-minute spell where they've scored 2 goals, very similar from both sides of the pitch. Got down the byline and crossed the ball, pulled it back, and somebody's been there, a free opportunity to shoot on goal, and they've both been converted. Apart from that, Scunthorpe have been relatively comfortable. They've had chances. Robertson's had a chance. Beck has had a glaring chance that he's missed. So when you look at it like that, again, it's another scratch-red moment.
As here is Woodscoo again being threaded through in behind, is being forced a little wider than he potentially would have liked. But Rushall will look to try and keep this ball in the corner for as long as they can. 88.5 minutes on the clock. Scunthorpe do get the foot on the ball and managed to win the throw-in as well over on that far side. Aaron Ford is down to a knee halfway inside the attacking half, but does pick himself back up again. He's limping as he jogs back into position. Changes being prepared as well for Rushall on their bench. It's Leif Fairney that is there on the edge of the technical area as the goalkeeper Paul White comes off of his line to claim another hopeful ball in behind to the penalty area. Well, this has been a real tale of two halves here, the old football cliche this evening for the first game of the calendar year for Scunthorpe United. Looked to be all in control, and Rushall to have no real ideas in the first 45 for the shoe to just completely be put onto the other foot in the second half. Scunthorpe have had one or two chances, as Torps said, but none of them superbly clean cut, as here comes that third change that we were previewing. Leif Fairney is going to make his way onto the ground, and over on the other side it's Danny King that is going to make way. Defensive-minded change here for the Rushall manager, Leif Fairney, typically a left-sided centre-back in his 17th appearance here on the league. It looks like 4 minutes is going to be added on to the end of this second half as Clunan backwards to Kelly. All Scunthorpe players camped inside the attacking half for now. Clunan with two hands up as well, trying to help guide the players up ahead of him. Kelly, long ball, hoping forwards, just leaving it with a leap there is Green. And it just buys enough time for White to make his way off his line and grab the ball and take some very, very important seconds off the clock. Well, Scunthorpe will have to pick themselves up after the way that this fixture might be heading home to Chorley next weekend, whereas for Rushall Olympic, they make the journey up north to Spennymoor. Will be undoubtedly full of confidence, Rushall, after a come-from-behind performance like this. Scunthorpe, it's a slightly all too familiar story, Torps. After 7 unbeaten, we'll be back to square one a little bit again.
Yeah, especially in the circumstances of losing to the bottom of the league. If that is going to be the case, it'd be really disappointing. And like I say, the goals that they've conceded are really poor goals and avoidable goals. I know every goal is avoidable, but the manner, it was so easy for Rushall. It was going back to what they were like 6-7 weeks ago. All that good work from 10-11 days ago, that's soon forgotten when you're putting a result, not so much a performance, but the result that ultimately counts. And those two kind of goals that Rushall have produced, a bit of quality, but Scunthorpe could have avoided if they defended slightly better in wide areas.
As Fitzsimons takes the ball and sends it as far forward as he can. Beck with a shot outside of the boot, but straight into the open palms of Paul White. Had to claim it at the second time of asking after the shot was hit with some pace and venom, and in the cold conditions out there as well, when you've not had too much to have to save or worry about, that will certainly sting a bit. But from Rushall's perspective, the ball is safely into the goalkeeper's hands and now safely away from the defending net. They'll play goalkeeper to goalkeeper on a couple of bounces as there's just under 90 seconds left for Andy Butler's men to find a goal and find a point. Roberts is blocked cleverly there by Cameron, and into the hands again of Paul White. Well, of course, be sure to stay tuned here with us on BBC Radio Humberside across all frequencies. We'll be back with James from 5 o'clock onwards for all of the fallout and all of the breakdown of this evening's fixture. If you want to get in touch with us and get in touch with James, 08000 66 5959, the number to call. Text 81333 and start your text the letters RH. We'll be hearing from one of the Scunthorpe United players and Andy Butler later on throughout this evening as well. So be sure to keep your radios or whatever devices you are tuning in to across all frequencies here this evening on BBC Radio Humberside for sport. As a throw-in taken by Rushall, and this is purely game management here, as the thundering and the noise that you're hearing drumming is hands, whether gloved or bare, onto advertising boards. And what looks like it's going to be 3 wins on the bounce for Rushall Olympic to end off and kick off 2024 and resultingly 2025. It will be indeed, as the full-time whistle blows. Richard Snakes pumps 2 fists in the air as he defeats Andy Butler's Scunthorpe United in their first game of the calendar year 2025. It started off also well, though, for Scunthorpe United in that first 45 minutes. The forwards capitalising off of a defensive mistake from Josh Green, Danny Whitehall being the beneficiary. But the second half was all Rushall Olympic. Goals from the 2 substitutes, Benjamin Woodscoo and Sam Mantum, means that the 3 points are staying at Dales Lane, and the 7-game unbeaten streak is ended for Andy Butler and Scunthorpe United. Torps, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, disappointing from relatively steady first half, and no real threat from Rushall, to conceding 2 goals which were like copycat goals from either side of the pitch. Got down to the byline, pulled it back, and Rushall finished smartly, but totally avoidable thing. I'd like to see the videos of those, and I think the defenders could get a little bit closer, a little bit of time, try to avoid the crosses. It was too easy to get those balls into the box. Subsequently conceded the 2 goals, and they couldn't find a way to get get an equaliser or winning goal. Had good opportunities. Beck was probably going to be critical because that was a glaring miss. About 12 yards out on his left foot when he just got contact, and it looked like he come off his shin or his side of his foot, and they went miles wide of the goal. Roberts again had some opportunities, didn't capitalise on those half opportunities. So a real disappointing afternoon, especially losing to the bottom of the league.
Well, it's a brand new year, but it's another misstep in the title charge for Scunthorpe United in this National League North campaign. Full time here from Dales Lane, and it's finished Rushall Olympic 2, Scunthorpe United 1.
So a hugely disappointing second half. Scunthorpe United look to be edging closer to topping the league table this tea time, but completely turned around in that second half. We'd like to hear from you, Scunthorpe United fans, this evening. The fans panel here from after 5 o'clock will bring you the headlines on a day that Scunthorpe United fans probably don't wish me to remind them of the headlines this evening, but you can get in touch. 81333 is the text number. You can WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Again, put RH at the start of the message, and you can get involved as well on the phones 08000 66 5959. A complete change in that second half. Scunthorpe United had led through to half-time, but completely changed towards the end of the game. Let's go back to Dales Lane and check in with our expert summariser, the former Scunthorpe United striker, Steve Torpey is there. Steve, hugely disappointing reversal in that second half.
Yeah, for a relatively comfortable first half and a Danny Whitehall 6-yard tap-in, it was nothing really into the game. And then come around about 12 minutes into the second half, Rushall exposed Scunthorpe frailties down his left-hand side, pulled it back, and then they pulled the goal level. And then around about 12-13 minutes on from that, they go on and get the winning goal. Very similar to the first goal, just on the opposite side of the pitch. Need to defend better, need to get tighter to the forwards. Too easy to cross the ball, and like I said, around about a 7-8 yard tap in for the strikers. Really disappointing. Apart from that, Rushall didn't really show much at all. They had a bit of enthusiasm in the second half, a bit more speed up front and a bit more goal, but never really created anything. I think I like to look at the shot count, and I think they probably only had 3 or 4 shots throughout the game. 2 of them, the poor ones, that end up in the back of the net.
We heard from the vice chair of Rushall on the programme last night saying that don't be fooled by our status as the bottom team. Richard Schnakers has got us playing, galvanised us, and by the sound of it, he was right.
Yeah, well, that's the third win on the spin. So, and what happened was just give them that encouragement. The first half, there wasn't. They nullified the game after Scunthorpe scored, and there weren't a great deal. They didn't show any real threat in the Scunthorpe's defensive third. But as soon as they got that first goal, you just see them lift their game, and they were on their front foot. And then, like I said, they got the second goal, and then they just game managed it the last 15-20 minutes and saw the game out. So I was on the side looking at Andy Butler's body language, shaking his head. Scunthorpe, again, towards the last 10 minutes, really went for it and produced some real gilt-edged chances. Mark Beck missed the sitter from about 10 yards out. Roberts had a couple of half opportunities and a couple of blocks on the line as well. So didn't get the rub of the green, but you need to capitalise on those good chances that Scunthorpe produced, especially in the last 10-15 minutes.
And Scunthorpe United, obviously, aspirations have been promoted this year, Steve. They're very confusing, aren't they? Because we saw towards the end of last year, we saw New Year's Eve, they had that impressive result against Kings Lynn Town, a form team in that division, and you would have said, based on that performance, that today would have been a great opportunity to have continued the run and got another 3 points.
Totally, that's what I was really looking forward to this afternoon's game. Thought they're going to go and build on that, and they showed signs of it in the first half. And the majority of the game, I'd say probably 80% of the game, Scunthorpe was in possession, nice and comfortable. But the two goals they conceded are really questionable because it was far too easy. So, like you say, yeah, it's such a hit and miss team at the moment. You can't produce a result against Kings Lynn, then come away to bottom of the league and lose the game 2-1. You're not going to get promotion playing like that.
Looking at some of the reaction to the club's own post on X, on formerly Twitter, and a lot of anger directed towards Andy Butler. Is this the test for him? How he can find that way of maintaining good performances, good results, especially in games against weaker teams?
Yeah, because these are the ones you need to beat these teams if you're going to get promotion. One going up, and ultimately you want automatic promotion. You don't really want to get in the playoffs if you can avoid that. And that's that inconsistency throughout the last 7 or 8 games. Probably in performance, not so much results. The results have been okay. The 4 wins and 3 draws have been good. But then you come to these places and that inconsistent performance, is not good enough. They were really delighted. Rushall, they've come off buzzing. It's probably the result of the season, beating us and Kidderminster, 2 former league teams. But and you couldn't argue that they didn't deserve it because they showed a little bit of grit and determination. Just failed to unlock that defence in the second half and missed some real golden opportunities, like I say.
He stuck with pretty much the team that beat Kings Lynn, and obviously Ross Barrow's missing through injury. Was he right to do that? I mean, by the looks of it now, should he have made more changes, or did he go into it with the right approach? No, I think you stick with a team that's performed well the previous week. Why would you change it? There's no